What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to our podcast, The Gameplan. Kris, what has happened over the spectacular weekend of sports? We know that NCAA football has come back, all 5 conferences. We know the NFL has been making some big moves. What has been going on this past weekend?
Well, let's go with your NFL team beating Tampa Bay.
That's right.
38-3?
42-3.
42-3. My bad. They just crushed Tampa Bay after the last meeting with, I think Tampa won that one.
No, first one.
You guys won both of them?
Yeah, we won both of them.
Oh.
Yeah. I distinctly remember us winning.
Well, Tom Brady was not performing. Some other news in the NFL. The Raiders have been fined for COVID-related issues because of their tests with all the offensive linemen. The Raiders were fined $500,000. John Gruden was fined $150,000. And the team has lost the 6th-round pick for the upcoming draft. This total actually makes now $1.2 million from the Vegas.
The Vegas line?
No, from the Vegas team.
Oh, Vegas team. Damn. All right, NFL, I see you making horrible decisions in life.
Yeah, then there's a report coming out this year that the Jets players alerts the NFL Player Association to hidden cameras in the locker room. The NFL finds no wrongdoing. The cameras were reportedly placed back in 2008 when they built their new practice or training facility.
Who is this for?
The New York Jets.
Oh.
Former players said they never heard that there was cameras in there or never alerted to them. This was legally fine to have cameras for security reasons up until, I had the year recently. I think it was 2016. Yeah, 2016. A new law in the state of New Jersey prevents the filming of individuals who are partially or fully naked. So they should probably be taking those cameras down from that. Players are upset and wondering why it is happening. Not only they're upset with the team, they're also upset with the coaching staff as they are 0-8, looking to play tonight, Monday, November 9th, against the New England Patriots.
Yep.
Let's see. Other news going to the MLB is that we have a new, I think we talked about this in a previous podcast, Mets have a new owner, Steve Cohen.
Yep.
He just fired the whole front office of the Mets organization after all the paperwork was finalized. So if we're looking for jobs, Micah, I think we're going to apply to New York.
I don't think I can afford New York.
Hey, this guy's a billionaire, so he may pay us well enough. So he clears staff that there. Some other baseball news is, you remember Justin Turner testing positive and still came out on the field to celebrate?
Yep.
Well, the Dodgers have, there's no punishment for him, but the Dodgers have had 9 personnel test positive after that.
That's a punishment in itself.
Yeah, that organization had 9 right after the World Series. Turner, again, is not facing any penalties for coming out there. Then we got some news in Boston. After letting go their previous manager, they brought back their previous manager, Alex Cora, which was banned from the MLB for 1 year. He is now back with Boston after serving his suspension. That was made official last week. Some basketball news is NBA.
I was like, hold on, roll.
Making a social justice board containing players which are active in their communities and coaches, all headed up by Adam Silver and a few other executives. This board is to advance equality and social justice throughout the league and throughout the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Then some news in LSU versus the Bama game is in jeopardy with numerous players, people from the organization of LSU had an outbreak. 4 players have reportedly tested positive for this.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then some MLS news is I lost my article, but we have a full list of playoff teams. So I'll be giving updates throughout the playoffs. This is after they're coming from the return to play of the Summer Cup. So we have they finished their second season in 2020 practically.
Yeah, which is kind of weird, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's needed because they didn't have a season in 2019. I'm assuming, right? They kind of.
No, they had a 2019 season. Their season, I may be wrong. Please let us know in the comments.
Mhm.
Uh, but I think their season starts in March and goes through August or September. Like
Oh,
that's when every playoff thing ends.
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, no reason. Not no reason. There's no way we would hear about it because the NBA is taking those time slots and then MLB is taking those time slots, which then
Yeah,
correspond to the NFL taking those
yeah,
time.
and we know that soccer is not the biggest sport in the United States.
Yep.
Most Yanks don't really care for the sport, which is one of the biggest sports in the world. So
Mhm.
that's why I lost the article because my phone knows the Americans don't care about it.
But before we actually get started with this episode, last week we filmed with our our one of our bosses at Stanford, Tyler Barton. Unfortunately, that video file was corrupted, and the editing software that I was using in order to edit that was not going through and was not processing correctly. So some of the highlights that we talked about, I mean, we talked about Tyler's interaction within Stanford, his relationship with us, and also other EMs that work with us as well. We talked about his home, his birthplace in Sweden, and when he moved here, going to college, and how that experience was for him.
Yeah, big difference in sports between the two countries.
Oh yeah,
Like
100%.
that was something I took away from him.
Mhm,
Want to go off that a little bit more, but like he said, like sports was not a big thing,
mhm.
even like high school athletics compared to when he moved
Yeah,
to the states out here. Like, well, sports is like the easiest thing to talk to when you're making new connections with people.
yeah. Um, I, to kind of harp on and back up that, I think one of the more surprising was that like basketball was kind of, aside from soccer, like basketball was like the popular sport, if I remember, which kind of was surprising to me because don't really hear that much about, not want to say non-professional, but lower tier basketball organizations within Sweden is what, in Central Europe or Eastern Europe, I want to say.
How I thought it was northern. Okay, we're gonna do a little map
So Google
quest
search.
here,
Yeah.
but go ahead, talk. I'll figure it
Yeah,
out.
that was kind of the surprising part for me was basketball was like the second tier sport aside from soccer, obviously because it is a European sport. Um, and then that transition to coming here, obviously his father was from the Bay Area, so I'm it makes sense that that transition of going from Sweden and talking sports in America was made a little bit easier. That
Northern part,
northern, okay,
right there.
a part of the Slavic states.
Zoom zoom out. You could see it's that, and there's the
Mhm,
main continent of Europe. I
yeah.
pay my pinky.
Hmm. And then we went into like different news about NCAA, different leagues that he's followed. So like the NBA, the NFL, the NBA, and the MLB. And obviously we had to harp on some questions for the NCAA that mostly talk about Stanford, but that's really just for us to really hear. But for the general public, we just want to hear his perspective on what's actually going on. And then lastly, we talked about who his greatest of all time 49ers are in his perspective, and those were based on who he watched and obviously the status that each player has had before his time. So it was a really good podcast. It would have popped up today. It would have popped up on our channel today, but unfortunately, the video file got corrupted and I was not able to restore it. But to kind of harp on, Tyler being on the podcast. Thank you, Tyler, if you're listening to this. We really did appreciate you having you on the podcast. We hope to have you on future podcasts. Hopefully, when work isn't overcrowding you and taking up most of your time. Um, Chris, do you have anything to say about that episode or lost episode?
Yeah, again, if Tyler, you're watching this, listening to us, however you have time to watch our show. We thank you so much for coming on. We're very sorry that we're unable to recover this file and put it out there so people see. We really appreciate you coming on. It was probably one of our best podcasts we recorded in our short lifetime here. Um,
We just hope that
yeah,
soon.
yeah, we hope to have you back again, and hopefully this time we can actually show it with everybody out here.
Yeah. So let's transition into some 49ers news. One of the key stories that came up was, could the 49ers move on from Jimmy Garoppolo after low performance this season and such a high expectation from last season? Some options to replace him for 2021, plus other San Francisco other San Francisco 49ers issues. So for Jimmy in particular, um,
Yeah.
should Jimmy be to blame for the unsuccessful 2020-2021 season? Some of the things that I came up on is obviously he's throwing too much. That really goes in hand with Kyle Shanahan, who is the head coach of the 49ers. Is he throwing too little, or is he not throwing enough? I mean, there's not as much firepower there or receiving ability that it was last year. Or is he not doing good as a quarterback of his age, that skill set? I'm not sure who's in his class, who he got drafted with.
I'll look that up. But answering this question, like we saw Jimmy G perform quite well in his time. I'm taking 2020 out of the question right now. Last year, he brought helped bring the team to a Super Bowl appearance. The year before, in his handful of games before tearing his ACL, was competing. He was trying to be that leader he knows he can be for that team. Um, and then in his uh, few games in his after the trade from New England, he went 5-0 with the 49ers,
Mm-hmm.
finishing off that season.
Yeah,
Let's see,
tearing
Jimmy.
off his ACL. Um, I think last year was probably his best year because obviously I had never heard of Jimmy Garoppolo before he was relevant at probably his last year with the Patriots and before getting traded to the 49ers. Um, he is a really good quarterback for the skill set that he's shown in the 2019-2020 season. Um, I think the one thing that went wrong was the Super Bowl. We really, like the general public that don't follow just NFL in general, we did not see Jimmy throw as much. And that was really the harp on for Kyle Shanahan, overthrowing during games instead. But we never got to see his throwing ability. But then Super Bowl came, and that was kind of the mistake. Instead of having Mostert and who's the other one? Who's your
Uh,
who's your
are you
ex?
talking about running backs last year?
Well, who's your ex? Your ex receiver?
You talking about Emmanuel Sanders,
Yeah, not Emmanuel Sanders. So oh my God, he just got
Deebo Samuel?
Debo Samuel. Yeah, um, like they're really like a lot of it were short passes to him or running or giving off to George Kittle like we really couldn't see Jimmy's skill set when throwing. Then that was just my view during last year, and I think that was the downfall during the Super Bowl game against the Chiefs. Um,
Okay, I got his draft class. Do you want to hear some quarterbacks that were taken before him?
sure.
Okay, so Jimmy G was drafted in the second round with a 62 overall pick by New England. Oh, what's wrong with my voice? um, some other quarterbacks that have drafted before him. The Oakland Raiders, yeah, at the time, drafted Derek Carr with a 36 overall pick.
Oh shit, this was
Uh, so yeah, this is 2014 is his draft class. With the 32nd pick was Teddy Bridgewater by Minnesota. Going back up. The 22nd pick by Cleveland was Johnny Manziel.
a horrible pick, but okay.
Then the highest ranked quarterback in that draft class was Blake Bortles, drafted by Jacksonville.
That was like what that was a defensive year, right?
Yeah, I'll give you the first. I'll give you the top 5 for draft picks. So with the number overall pick, JD, I can't even say Clowney's first name right now.
Davian Clowney.
Jadavian Clowney. I don't know why I couldn't say that. I can't say first names right now. I can't even say Robinson of St. Louis, Greg Robinson. Jeez,
Greg
Greg.
Robinson.
I don't know what's wrong with me today. No, Greg Robinson tackled, went to St. Louis with the second round pick. Blake Bortles was drafted third by Jacksonville.
Mm.
Sammy Watkins drafted fourth by Buffalo.
So Sammy.
Khalil Mack was drafted number 5 by Oakland.
Yeah, I think it was a defensive class year. But I mean, there's only one good name in there, and that's Derek Carr. I mean, if we're not trying to
If you're talking about quarterbacks, yeah.
there's only
I'm going back a little bit more, see if I see any other quarterbacks that are even still active today.
like Johnny Manziel was. Let's just call it what it was. He was just an NCAA football player, God. But then when it came to the pros, he's just an average football player, and he's not even in the league anymore.
Logan Thomas of Arizona drafted in the 4th 120th pick. See, where is he today? They say he's still active.
Oh, he is.
Oh, he switched to a tight end role.
Just like Jason Tatum, not Jason Tatum. My all around guy and Saints.
Oh, Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill.
He's not a tight end. He's a tight end, wide receiver, running back, fullback, defensive lineman, punt return specialist,
kicker,
and
quarterback.
Yeah, Logan Thomas is right now with the Washington football team as a tight end.
Wow, that's...
He has 8. He's played 8 games, 24 receptions, 236 yards with 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
look at other quarterbacks.
We're switching the position, but back to the original conversation at hand. I think that answers the last question. It's not like his draft class is like anyone drafted above him is any better, except for Derek Carr. The Johnny Manziel is out of the league. Jake Bortles hasn't really done anything with Jacksonville. That's no disrespect.
He's gone from Jacksonville.
Or did anything for Jacksonville. Where's he at now?
He is with. Let's see, what's this team? He was with the Denver Broncos.
He's with Broncos. Again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did. Well, it was his defense, but they did go to the AFC Championship game with him.
Yeah, I don't think Jimmy Garapolo is really to blame. I really don't know, like, if it's him, if it's the front office, or if it's Kyle Shanahan to be blaming, but like, or COVID. I mean, COVID is always that one
easy to blame.
Easy to blame thing, but in reality, like, you have to look at players and call it what it is.
Well, what my take is from what this year is, what Jimmy G has produced. He's been out for a majority of snaps this year, dealing with a high ankle sprain. So that could be a reason to look at that. As he's a quarterback, so that ankle is being used a little bit more. Well, any position you really have to use the ankle. So he couldn't really get it. Was off his plant leg, so he couldn't really get a good drive going with that ball. So that's the reason. You can also look at the injuries around him. How much he had to deal with. His running back room was being depleted once a week almost.
Severely.
Wide receiver room was also getting hit a few times.
Oh yeah.
His primary target, the All-Pro on that offense, George Kittle, was also out for a week or two, and now is out for the season.
Yep.
So you can see a lot of things wrong. And then if we flip the ball around, the defense that was highly praised a year ago has also taken a step back with a lot of injuries all around, with the star defensive lineman, Nick Bosa, out for the season with the ACL in his second week. Then they also lost Solomon Thomas with the same problems, same week. Richard Sherman has been out for a while with a hamstring problem.
And then then this follows up into the next segment is like the front office. I mean, traded Quan Alexander to the Saints. They also traded DeForest Buckner to the Colts. What do you think of, some of the moves that the front office has made? I mean, obviously it's to kind of shrink and maybe tank a little bit for this upcoming draft. I'm not entirely sure what their thoughts are. But like to get rid of an inside rusher like DeForest Buckner and um, was Quan Alexander a middle or an outside linebacker?
Middle.
Middle.
Yeah.
So he knows the playbook, and it's like you're getting rid of leaders left. Or was he a starter or was he second? Quan.
He was a starter until he got injured last year and then fallen off to a platoon style thing. He shifted a lot with another linebacker on the 49ers, Dre Greenlaw.
Oh yeah, Greenlaw. But I mean, you have a vet who knows the playbook really well on the defensive side. Um, yeah, I don't know like what the front office of the 49ers are thinking, but it has to be towards this next draft or maybe the next 2 years. I'm not sure what their draft picks are like in a couple of years or who they have from each team, but in my mind, I think they're trading just to get as much draft picks as possible for maybe this year or maybe next or the upcoming drafts in later years.
Well, not really. Draft picks are great to look at that, but for the problem with DeForest Buckner was they will have two superstar defensive linemen, which yes, every team would love to have that.
Hmm.
But then you also have to look at the salary cap.
Yeah,
With
you guys don't have a flexible salary cap like the NBA does, which I always keep forgetting.
Yeah. So they had to pick which one would they rather keep, which between Eric Armstead, which was a free agent last offseason, or DeForest Buckner, which was was going to be a free agent this upcoming uh, offseason. But so they decided to trade him away because they could get more bang for the buck with a trade than just laying go and getting a compository pick in the future for laying Eric Armstead walk. Quan Alexander, they signed him last offseason coming off an ACL. He got hurt, so they saw that his injury history was costly to them after they signed to that huge contract. So
Hmm.
they tried to take some money off their books to look for future extensions of players. Um, Maybe sign a player in the future
Hmm.
and save that kind of money if they're having him more off the bench coming in and replacing another middle linebacker.
Yeah. Um, yeah, contracts always come into play no matter what. Um, I'm not gonna roast Kyle Shanahan for what he's done offensively because last year was like almost a perfect situation for him. He knew his weaknesses and he knew his strong points, and it's just this year he has to deal with what he can. So he kind of reverts back to the offense that he was always used to, which was pass first, pass first. But one of the things that I kind of thought about when it came, not saying for all Bay Area teams, but when it comes to going to a championship or having a great season before a championship, do you think that the 49ers have Super Bowl fatigue from having a spectacular season last year, being what just
Well, you mentioned that there wasn't, I saw floated around the Twitterverse that the 49ers had the quote unquote Super Bowl curse, or the Super Bowl losers curse, where
yeah.
they really digress. If we look back for the past 2 years, the team that lost the Super Bowl regressed really poorly. Most notably is the LA Rams going to the Super Bowl, losing to the New England Patriots, and then falling to I think 9-7 or 8-8 season the following year
I think so.
after having all that praise. Uh, Trying to think of other teams off the top of my head.
Denver after winning it with Peyton Manning.
Yes, Denver. No,
Yes.
yeah, but they won though. I'm talking about Super Bowl losers.
Oh, losers. Seattle when they lost to the Patriots. They were good for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, they
Uh,
had a little hiccup the next year.
the Colts
Um,
after 2010. Uh,
yeah, that was the year Peyton Manning got hurt,
yep.
and they were out for the whole year. Where they drafted Andrew Luck, they went from
Mhm.
like second to last.
Yeah. Um, I mean, the Cardinals have always been bad. That was the last time they played was Green Bay. Um, they've always been bad though. So, who played the Steelers? Their last champion.
Arizona.
Was it? Oh, I thought it was Green Bay. No.
Hmm.
Who played Green Bay? Was it oh my god. I should know who this is. Um it wasn't the Patriots, I know that. Was it?
It was Pittsburgh in 2011.
Pittsburgh played Green Bay.
Yes. Uh, Pittsburgh last Super Bowl was against Arizona, though.
Oh yeah, that's right. They came back though, right? Or was it?
Yeah, that was the comeback
Mhm.
with, I can't remember whatever that wide receiver's name is. Yes.
Mhm. And then Troy, that was Troy Polamalu's last game or last Super Bowl too. Um,
Hmm.
so they're like exempt because they did come back from that following year. But I mean, if you looked at like if you look at this past decade, I think the one the one team that has always come back is the Patriots, like 100%. And even if they lose, like they're always going to be in that championship contention. If they win, they kind of fall off, not like 100%, but they fall off to a point of like they're either going under 500 or they're going to be like right at 500, but they don't make the like the playoffs or whatever. Um, but when it comes to this, I mean, when it comes to the 49ers, you guys lost two Super Bowls this decade. Were god awful after the first one, but that was like I think that team was a little bit more better than this team, mostly because of their offense, not so much a part of their defense. This year it's a little bit different because of COVID, but I don't know, I think you guys are going to have like a 2-year slump and this is the first year. I think next year will be a little bit better and then the third year will be much more better than this year. Um, but I think the Super Bowl fatigue is actually playing its hand right now just because COVID is also another factor in that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only time will tell. As I said, the 49ers have been dealing with a bunch of injuries this year, so we don't know if it's because of injuries or these players have regressed poorly to where they, um, well, suck.
Showed
I
down.
don't know
Yeah.
what.
I don't know. Yeah.
Um, but let's move on to a team that does suck. Uh, why laugh? You know it's true.
Yeah, the New York Jets do suck, but Joe Namath, did he play for the Jets or the Giants? The
No,
Jets.
he played for the Jets. He was their franchise quarterback for the Jets.
Hmm. Joe Namath, legendary Jets quarterback, could see Trevor Lawrence forcing a trade like Eli Manning did in 2004, right?
Yes.
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 Some of the lowest teams right now are obviously the Jets, who are 0-8, hopefully not 0-9 by tonight. The Jaguars, who are 1-8, I want to say. The Giants, who are 1-8. Patriots, who are 2-5. The Cowboys, who are 2-6. Either they're 2-5 or 2-6. Both the Patriots and the
Okay,
Cowboys.
I have the updated NFL draft order right now. So Jets 0-8, Jags 1-7, Dallas 2-7, Giants 2-7, Washington 2-6, Chargers 2-6, Dolphins from Houston, which are 2-6, Pats 2-5, Bengals 2-5-1, Panthers 3-6. This is updated as of this morning.
Wow. Do you think they get rid of Burrows in Cincinnati? No, no
No,
way. I think
like why would you give it? It's not Josh Rosen, okay?
that's true. That's true.
They have no offensive line, so they're probably using that pick with a top tier offensive lineman.
Yep. I don't think Trevor wants to play in New York, specifically for the Jets. I think the Giants would be a good franchise for him, but I think the Patriots are going to get him.
Well, as I said
Prior to
earlier, before we started recording, there is a way that the Patriots could big brain the whole NFL.
this is the biggest
Is
I've
by
ever heard.
Can actually get the number one overall pick if they strategically lose the rest of the season because one, the Jets are a division rival, so they will have the 2 wins, and
Mhm.
because if the Jets only get those 2 wins against the New England Patriots, they'll have the higher number because of head-to-head seedings
Mhm.
and because of division wins.
Mhm.
So I'll push the Patriots to the number one overall pick. So who knows? We could actually see.
If I was Bill Belichick,
Uh,
I'd forfeit all my games right now. The rest of the season,
Bill Belichick just like, we have COVID.
COVID issues. We can't play. That would, dude. You imagine how scary that would be. Trevor Lawrence going to the Patriots and having another.
Yeah, because if the Jets did, I saw some NFL executives privately say to Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, all those people saying if they were Trevor Lawrence, they would tell him to go back to college for one more year and skip the Jets draft.
Yeah.
Because right now he's still a player for the Clemson Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson, right? Yeah, Tigers.
Really?
Sorry, I just had to make sure. There's so many Tigers in NCAA football.
There's only like 4, right?
That's a lot.
That's not a lot.
Let's see. LSU, Clemson,
Mizzou,
Missouri,
and Auburn.
and Auburn. That's still a lot. That's 4. And 2 of them on the same conference, right?
Yeah, that's right. 3. No, 2. Yeah, 2.
No. 3.
Mizzou is in SEC, I think. Yeah.
No, I think they're in the SEC.
That's what I said. SEC.
So those 3 in SEC.
Yeah.
Jeez, they're very creative out there.
Very innovative when it comes to team mascots. But I think I agree with NFL execs and all of the whoever they interview is like stay in college. Like if you really don't want to play for the Jets, stay in college, get your degree, finish off whatever degree you need to finish off, and come next year and just keep training. I mean, I think that would be the most ideal situation. I think Trevor just wants to be out of college, or even maybe he does. Maybe he does go to the
Jets.
The draft, not the Jets. The draft. Not even. I'm not
okay.
I'm not even like entertaining that situation. If he goes to the draft, Patriots lose the rest of their games, and then Jets start winning maybe 2 or 3. Let's just say 2 or 3 and just make them 3-13. Then Dallas lose the rest of their games. San Francisco loses the rest of their games, which will not happen. I'm assuming. I think the best situation for him. I've been saying this for a long time. His destination needs to be to going to Dallas, learning not under. See, I can't even say learning under the head coach or learning under Dak. It's just learning a new system at that point, because I think Dallas needs to just get a whole new coaching staff. And
already after 1 year with Mike McCarthy.
Oh, they trade. Oh, okay, never mind. Yes,
Yeah, Jason Garrett's gone.
Thank God.
He's now with New York as a OC.
Oh God, no. Wait, which New York?
Giants. Forgot to mention that.
I'm like, they're definitely losing every single game now. And then I think Dallas, Patriots, maybe the Texans. I'm not entirely
with Deshaun Watson though. Oh, I forgot. There's some reports that JJ Watt wants out of Houston.
Yeah, I saw that too. He wants to go, or some reports say he wants to go to the Packers, which I'm like, that's a big brain move.
I have to go to Pittsburgh. All 3 Watt brothers on the same team.
Yeah, that'd be. Oh my God! And they all play. No, 2 of them play defense, and 1 of them plays offense.
Yeah.
God, that's an easy 2 more championships for them. It's an easy 2 more championships for the Steelers.
I'll just buy one jersey and just crop 99, 90, whatever. I think 90 is TJ, and whatever Derek's Watt's number is, just have them all right there.
Something. I think
I think 34.
Something like that. I would put it in a triangle. I'd be like, I'm officially a Pittsburgh Steelers fan now.
Go on, do that with just the Wisconsin jersey. Just have all 3 because they all play there.
Mm-hmm. That would be nice.
All right, off topic though, but
Trevor Lawrence to the Patriots, 100%. I think that might actually happen.
Yeah, that could happen. We'll see it tonight. If the Jets could either pull a win, Patriots strategically lose.
Who are the Jets playing tonight? Washington, right?
Patriots,
you need to lose, please. You need to lose. Tank, damn it. All right, let's move on to some
basketball news.
The basketball news. I'll take this, Chris.
Go ahead.
So LeBron James is seeking justice for the death of his friend's wife, who is also from Akron, Ericka Weems. The most surprising thing that I noticed, this isn't blown out of proportion like everyone else is saying. It is, I can't say regular. It's a murder. It's a shooting, unintended shooting. and it's not blown out of proportion. I'm going to get flack for this. I don't care, because this needs to be talked about. To whom decides which Black Lives Matter? Because LeBron James, all Black Lives Matter to him, and that is what he is showing. There is no discrepancy of what this what this slogan means, whether a white cop killed him or her neighbor killed her. Please, Jesus Christ, Micah, get your words out right. For LeBron, it doesn't matter as long as people are seeking justice for unjustifiable actions. Granted, this is his friend's wife. They grew up in Akron together, so I understand just getting it out there for an investigation to start. But I think for Black Lives Matter, in my opinion, if this was a white cop or a white person, it would have been blown out of proportion. But now, if it's an inner city crime on itself, it hasn't been blown out of proportion. To me, I think this is how society should be acting in not snitching, but reporting crimes that happen no matter the person's race or the person or the color of their skin. This is just my opinion, because it's not only fair, but it's right to do, because you're getting someone off of the streets and getting them rehabilitated. I think that's also what the prison system and the jail system should do as well. Not beat, not torture, not degrade, but rehabilitate, because that you want to put someone back out into society that is going to help, not detriment, not degrade, but help society in a positive way. And that's what LeBron did this past. We talked about it last podcast, the deleted file podcast, that LeBron James and other celebrities paid outright $27 million in Florida for former felons to get their rights back. And within the rehabilitation process, while they were still in prison, they were rehabilitated, and the only thing that I had to do was pay the money for the fees. So I think, in my opinion, like, anyone can disagree with me. Show in the comments that you disagree with me, and we will read them. I will read them. But when it comes to crime like this, I feel like it should always be blown out of proportion, because then people are going to know, people are going to see, and people are going to act upon it um, without batting an eye. And again, this is my opinion, and this is how I think it should be society-wise. Chris, any thoughts?
I honestly never heard about this until you started bringing it up right now. So, as you said, it's not being brought to proportion. I agree with you right there. Because, well, again, I didn't hear about any of this.
Yeah,
no one really talked about it on the news.
Yeah.
I don't know if LeBron posted on his Instagram story or on his IG or anything.
On Twitter. I'm not entirely sure. But, like, I think it's news coverage's fault. It's not society's fault at all. It's news coverage fault. They don't want it to be a part of that narrative that they're pushing. And I understand that. You're trying to get a story out. You're trying to get a rise out of people. But it's not the most ethical thing to do, in my mind. It's probably the least effective way to get news out and to actually bring justice upon people. But I think ultimately it is a news coverage issue, not so much of a societal issue. And I know I'm going back on my word, but as Kris said, he hasn't heard about it. I read about it on ESPN, and to the extent that I read about it, it doesn't seem like the news coverage besides ESPN actually covered it, and maybe local Akron news in Ohio. It's a hard thing to discuss, because people are going to have different views against me, and I understand that. Totally fine with that. But I feel like everything should be produced and covered on, not just certain things in order to push a narrative. Let's get on to other news, other NBA news. Two big players that we've talked about countless times on our podcast, on different episodes, both Devin Booker and Demar Derozan. The first one I want to start with is Demar Derozan trade to the Lakers from the Spurs. Kris, did I not call this, and that this should be the trade that LA should take?
Yeah. DeMar DeRozan to LA, right? That's what we're talking about?
Mhm.
Or are we talking about Booker?
DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, you mentioned this right when we talked about like future stars or where should they go, what should LA do right after they won.
Mhm.
I want to say that's every time we bring up a big basketball segment onto this show,
Mhm.
that was like your number one thing if we're talking about like what should LA do
Mhm.
in free agency.
Yep.
That was your biggest call.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, DeMar DeRozan, he's not doing good in Spurs. He's not doing good in San Antonio. And right after, I think it was with our podcast with my professor, and we were talking about trades for Westbrook, trades for Chris Paul. And then DeMar DeRozan came up. I'm like, I think you should go home. I really think you should go home to LA. The reason that this kind of works out is this coming year, they DeMar is set to make 27.7 million. In order to match that, yep. In order to match that, they would have to give away Kyle Kuzma, Danny Green, and a 2022 first round pick. Kyle Kuzma is making about 15 mil. Danny Green making about 10 mil. My reaction is exactly to how much Kyle Kuzma is making after his rookie deal. And then that 2022 deal is just set for the rookie that's coming in. That matches up to 27.7 because of the rookie deal as well. So I think they should really go for it. I think DeMar DeRozan deserves to be on a championship contending team. And Kyle Kuzma, don't get me wrong, he's a really good player out of Utah, but I don't think he's at the caliber that he was projected to be. Danny Green
Mm-hmm.
also isn't at the caliber that he was at during San Antonio times with Kawhi and in Toronto with Kawhi. You kind of saw that through his performance during the finals.
Yep.
He made open shots, but like during that game 5, when he airballed, I want to say when he airballed he hit the rim when he missed
We count as an air ball.
yeah when he missed a shot the last seconds of game 5. Even though they won the championship in game 6, it's like he could have easily tied the game and won. I think tied the game in game 5 and went to overtime. But I don't think he's on that same caliber that he was 6 years ago with the Spurs. So I think DeMar DeRozan, for what he is as a slasher, is perfect combination for what the Lakers are looking for. As for Devin Booker, there's a reports that he's saying he wants out. He kind of said he doesn't want out, but we know, like with Giannis, like you can say you don't want out, but we know you want out. Like we know you want to be a championship contending team. The one team that has come to mind onto these articles is the New York Knicks. What do you think about them?
I'm thinking I feel like that's actually a pretty good fit, but then again, New York Knicks have always been plagued as a bad team
Hmm.
in the NBA. So I don't know if he's just gonna be moved from one bad team to another.
Yeah,
Um,
I was thinking.
Devin Booker is a great player, but I feel like he's missing another piece to go along with him.
Okay, listen,
All right, you guys
I was
okay.
thinking he goes to the East. I'm fine with him going to the East, but he goes to Brooklyn or he goes to Miami. Miami has a good outside contender with Duncan Robinson, who's a 3-point god, 3-point white boy god out of Miami. You have the leadership of Jimmy Butler, and
Leadership.
okay, fine, leadership of Jimmy Butler within Miami already set, and you just take that role position, or you trade between both how many touches you guys get, and you have Jimmy coming in, swing to the outside for Duncan, or swing to the outside for Devin Booker. Miami would be a top second tier position for Booker. I think we'll get into this next episode, but Brooklyn is looking for a third star. I think Devin could actually make that happen.
Yeah, I could agree with that right there, 100%. Going to Brooklyn though, um, I feel like that locker room's a little toxic, even though it's just two players that control it. So it's not like I don't know. You know what I'm talking about though.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And
I
I
don't.
feel like everyone else that listens to us kind of knows what we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't see Devin Booker always being on Twitter though. I mean, I see him being on Instagram. I mean, he has a Twitch account. That's how he kind of also makes a second pair of revenue. But I don't see him like bad mouthing on
Why
Twitter.
is he in second revenue? He makes millions.
Hey, hey, hey! we need that. We need that Twitch stream revenue. Okay. Need.
Like, oh man, I only have 10 million in my bank account right now. I gotta make a few more extra bucks. Why is he not doing Uber or Lyft right now? Then
Shit, in Arizona of all places, I don't think they need an Uber or Lyft.
hey, when he's out on the off season trading, like in LA or something.
Oh yeah, he usually changes in New York though. With
That's why you brought up this suggestion to train out there. But New York and
New York,
area
is
needs.
the market for him, I think. Um, I just don't know. I just don't know and see how the result of him, Kyrie Irving, and KD would work. But
Yeah,
it's really
I
hard.
feel like Devin Booker is kind of a more reserved person.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I think he'll fit in that Miami locker room because no one's too vocal other than Jimmy Butler. But
Yeah, no one's stepping on each other's toes in Miami.
yeah, no one steps on like each other's toes. It's not gonna be a feud. It's just a place of brotherhood almost.
Yeah,
Because people will fight, but it's like you're my brother. We play together. We're
yeah,
go.
hmm yeah,
All right, so I think we're gonna move on to some college athletics, college football.
yeah. Mostly within the Pac-12. First of all, night game. The one game that got taken out was the Huskies versus Cal.
Yeah,
The next game that was taken out was Arizona versus Utah. Uh,
another one. Oh,
yeah, that was an early game though. Not only did these games get canceled, but another game got postponed. So the Arizona game got postponed. But LSU, as we mentioned earlier, LSU is battling some COVID spikes as well. So is Wisconsin. Um,
mm-hmm.
what are some? See, we try to come up with like solutions every single podcast, but like it doesn't happen. But like, what do you see in like the future of the Pac-12? Do you see? I mean, already one game is canceled for Washington and Cal, so they're already not contending for a championship, obviously.
Were they ever going to?
No. Uh, what do you see like for you know states or teams going into the not Midwest, the mountain states such as Colorado and Utah, Arizona, and COVID spikes are large there. What do you see for like the California or the West Coast teams and how they're gonna maneuver that in traveling regiments?
Everything's gotta be a lot stricter. Probably more tests coming through or try to come through.
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot more money now being put into it, so I don't know if the schools will be allowing this because this is. I know schools have money and like athletics have their own set of money,
Hmm.
but how much money is now going to be taken away from other projects or other departments
Yeah.
to pay for all this? So you have a limit almost to what you can do to prevent the spread of the virus to your team.
Hmm.
Some news broke it out during our recording is LSU's coach Tom Izzo. I know this is basketball news, but he has been tested positive for COVID-19 and is going to be placed in a 10-day quarantine. We know basketball season is coming around the corner for the NCAA, so we'll probably see a big spike in the next few weeks
Hmm.
of this, and it's going to be the same thing we're going to talk about then, like how we're going to stop the spread. Um, honestly, I have no idea how colleges are going to be doing this because we see the NFL, NBA, all the other things uh, try to come up with solutions, and we see positive tests all over. The only one I could think of that really worked was the bubble solution, but we saw how much money the NBA put into a bubble, which was upwards over $1 billion. That's a B. That's a B, not M.
Not NP.
B. Billions, not
Yeah.
millions. Billions.
Hmm.
And I don't think conferences, NCAA, or universities are looking to spend anything close to that amount of money for for it. The NBA is a $1 billion industry, so they could figure out ways to offset those costs
Yeah.
and be able to play those games and use that bubble.
Yeah.
But for conferences and stuff, it's quite expensive
Hmm.
to do that. So
Should
I don't know what kind of other things they can do. Play flag football then, or we switch all to esports.
Yeah, everyone's playing Madden. That's how we play games now.
Unless in the next couple of weeks we could have like some VR headset that everyone could play the position like in the comfort of their home.
That'd be funny. Just to clarify, you said Tom Izzo, right?
Yeah,
And you said LSU with Tom Izzo?
Michigan State.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, LSU. I was like, wait, what? I know Tom Izzo's Michigan State's head coach. Yes, but those claims are true that Tom Izzo did test positive for COVID-19. I mean, he's on the older side.
Either I lied.
No, I just misheard you. That's it.
Okay.
All right, that's all. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tom Izzo does have COVID-19, which puts another Big Ten in risk for basketball season. Oh, NCAA, get your shit together, please. I would like to watch sports without having to hear bad things happen. What do you think Wisconsin should do? Did they play this weekend? They played this weekend,
I
right?
have not heard any news. We'll probably get more news later on in the week. Let me look up Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing. Wisconsin Badgers football. Did they play this weekend?
They didn't play. Had COVID last week. Remember, they were out 2 games. They're scheduled to play Michigan.
They were. This
They're expected to play still.
yeah. I don't.
COVID-19 cases are down.
Mm-hmm.
The regular game week practice will begin.
Mm-hmm. I don't
So it
know.
looks like they'll be back to play.
Mhm.
They fell in the AP ranking from 8 to 13.
Yeah, like that matters.
No.
No. Did you see Michigan lost to Indiana?
Yeah.
That was a little heartbreaking.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan. I don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them either. College football rankings. I just looked this up earlier. Speaking of college football rankings, Clemson dropped all the way to 4 after losing to Notre Dame. Clemson,
That's a respectable drop.
yeah. Clemson is now 7-1. Alabama is 6-0, but they are first place. Did they have a bye this week? They had a bye this week, I'm assuming.
I think they had a bye, but and we don't even know if they're going to play this weekend with the Marrakesh over in Death Valley.
Yep. I think chalk it. Send the win to Birmingham. No, not Birmingham.
I
Tuscaloosa.
don't think they'll calling COVID cancellations and win a loss. I think it's just
Mm-hmm.
a NP, no play. So it won't help or harm people.
Oh my God. Let me see. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 teams that I've never seen in college football ranking history or ever, like in the past 5 years that I've never seen. The first one, Cincinnati. I've barely ever seen them in college football rankings in the past years. Next is
They do produce some good NFL players. So
Coastal. I don't even want to look at it. They're 7-0. Marshall, and then
I've heard them before, but
and then Liberty, and then Louisiana Lafayette, holding down the 25 spot. Yeah, this year is
wow. Yeah, this year is a little weird with teams not playing a lot of games.
Yep.
Teams getting canceled. Teams 4-15. Teams not having their star players.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be weird moving forward. Even not just in the NCAA, but in other sports too. We've seen.
Yeah, basketball season is going to be weird. God forbid we go back to work at Stanford and it get canceled all over again. I don't know. That's weird for college sports. Love college sports or NCAA. You got to get your stuff together. It's not fun just seeing all these kids get battered by this virus or even coaches. With that being said, guys, that is our episode today. We talked about NFL news with Trevor Lawrence, also the 49ers, NBA news with LeBron James, trade topics with Devin Booker and DeMar DeRozan, NCAA news with cancellation of games for Washington State versus Cal, as well as Utah versus Arizona. Anything else you want to share before we end this podcast, Chris?
No, not really. Just remember to like, subscribe, turn that bell notification on so you won't miss any of our videos. Please, if there's any articles you'd like us to read and talk about, leave them down below in our comment section. We'll get to reading those and discuss about those on our future shows. I think that's it. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you guys for watching. With that being said, guys, see you guys later.
a master.